Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Liberty Libations. I'm Zach Varnell, filling in for Jake Green while he's out on the road somewhere. And I'm joined as always by Alden, Steven, and Nick. So I heard some cans cracking. What do you guys got to drink there?
I'm Guinness here first. Go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
I'll say I'm clearing out the fridge. So I've got another I have a zombie dust.
Is that the last of the dust?
Yeah. I got a Three Floyds Turbo Reaper.
Mm.
And then I'll be going on to the Founders Mortal Bloom.
I haven't had that one.
It's pretty good. That's floral. Has a nice mouthfeel.
Nice. What are you drinking, Nick?
I got the mead.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got tons of bottles of it still, so I want to get through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got it. Guinness and the 10-year Eagle Rare. They're dropping a 12-year. I think either they just did or will be soon, and they say that it's going to be MSRP of like 50 or under, like a reasonable price.
Yeah.
We'll see what they charge around this area for it, because sometimes they ask stupid prices for bourbon up here. But
let me know if it's more than $50 because I get it all day, 5 miles from my house for $50.
The 12
no, I haven't seen the 12, but the 10 year is $39.99.
That's what it should be, is $40. And honestly, they want like 80 or 90 up here. Sometimes they're high. I don't get it. That's my whiskey rant for the day. But
well, because
at least you live in a state that the liquor stores aren't state owned.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. And at least the tax is less than when I was in Washington. It was like 25 or 30% or some crazy thing. It was insane. I think it was the highest in the country in Washington.
I know some folks that could easily make a side hustle of running Buffalo Trace. What is it? It's just the Buffalo Trace, and then what's the one with the horse on top of it?
Blanton's.
There you go. Running Blanton's just back and forth to Alabama.
I like Blanton's and Buffalo Trace, same distiller or whatever. But
it's pretty good. It's a $40, $50 bottle of bourbon. Like it's not.
That's what it should be.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there's folks in Alabama paying $1.50 for it all day, just because it's one of those states that the allocation goes to restaurants first. You can't just walk in the store
a pilgrimage out to the source. I might be going to Kentucky and muling some shit back home, man. That's bullshit.
Bonus points if you do it in an orange Roadrunner.
What's
that from? I just
Dukes
think it's Joe Dirt, but Dukes of Hazzard. I was like,
Does it have to have the flag on the top of it?
Yeah, you got to have the Confederate flag and the horn. But
yeah,
partial points just if it's an orange Roadrunner.
And you got to jump
or any orange car, I guess. Yeah,
you can't use the car.
Did Buffalo Trace fix their distillery yet? Because I know they were under like 3 feet of water just a month ago.
Oh shit!
And
we were just talking about all the rain and everything. I didn't know.
I'm sure they've probably gotten somewhere back up and running.
That's
I don't know. I know it's been raining and floods here for like the past 3 weeks. So.
Oh yeah, no, we learned that our house has some flooding issues this spring. It's been a fun way to find out. What do you do?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys want to get into the first story here?
Sorry.
So that's all right. I love the chit chat, but we got some Ted Cruz to talk about, potentially make fun of.
Is this with him talking about the obligations to Israel?
Only potentially make fun of?
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Zodiac killer.
We'll see. But I wanted to play this clip because, you'll hear it and I'm sure you'll have thoughts on it. Maybe you guys have already heard it, but they get to talking about what is the biblical Israel? Is that
right?
Modern day state of Israel run by Netanyahu? Is it something else? So let's talk about that after we listen to this.
Right.
Okay. And the reason is twofold. Number one, as a Christian, growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the.
It's in Genesis, but so you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it. And you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology. I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker,
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
And by the way, it's not run by Benjamin Netanyahu as a dictator. It's a democratic country that elected.
But he's the prime minister,
right?
What?
But just like America is the country run by Donald Trump. No, actually, the American people elected Donald Trump. The same principle.
This is silly. I'm talking about the political entity of modern Israel.
Yes, and that is.
You believe
Israel.
That's what God was talking about in Genesis.
I do, but
that country's existed since when?
For thousands of years. Now, there was a time when it didn't exist, and then it was recreated just over 70 years ago.
I'm saying, I think most people understand that line in Genesis to refer to the Jewish people, God's chosen people.
That's not what it says.
Okay, Israel, but you don't even know where in the Bible it is. So I don't know.
I don't remember the scriptural citation.
Oh, Zach, you're muted.
All right. I can tell you already have thoughts, Steven, so let's hear this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lots of thoughts from Steven coming.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, this is an Abbott and Costello routine here. I mean, this is just it's comedic. Just because I mean, I get it, and it got to a level that I mean, the church I go to has now so far since the what was it, October 7th? The Al-Aqsa flood. Since then there's been 2 Sunday sermons devoted to what is Israel. And he's had to come out and clarify of it is not the government. It is absolutely the Jewish people, the nation of Israel. And the Bible even clarifies itself. And of course, Zane would do a way better job of, quoting all the scripture than I would, but it does clarify itself. I mean, it starts in Genesis and it mentions it several times. But yeah, I mean, the current political borders of Israel are not the Israel in the Bible.
And I would add also, if that's true, and whether it's true or not, I feel like with the separation of church and state and everything, if you are someone who is in U.S. politics and you're referencing this as a reason why you're supporting or giving aid or whatever to another foreign nation or government or whatever, I find it odd, even totally separately than your first point. And I agree with your first point.
I mean, as a libertarian, it makes my skin crawl hearing a politician, even though it's my religion, hearing a politician talking about my religion told me to do this, so this is what we're going to do. No, that is not how you run a state, sir. This is not a theocracy. That's, two theocracies are actually fighting each other right now. That's when you just sit back and eat your popcorn. Because otherwise, I mean, you're no better than the Ayatollah. Yeah, exactly. Not popcorn. I'll sit or my bacon flavored popcorn. It's just it's wild. Because I mean, this is absolutely what tanked his presidential run.
Is that Chicharron's bacon flavored popcorn?
Hey, now you're talking.
Sorry, go ahead.
But I mean, this is one of the things that tanked his presidential run. That and Trump saying he had a dog wife.
and probably the Canadian thing also.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too fond of that. So it's just, I can't believe. I'd love to hear his number 2 answer on that too.
Why I'm just
because, by the way, support comes in many forms. supporting the nation of Israel is praying for them. Not, hey, can I send my son to die for you because you picked a fight with somebody?
Yeah.
Obviously, the Bible meant we need to send them bunker busters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
there's a
their
specific
bunker
scripture
busters
on
aren't
that.
good enough. They need our best bunker busters in order to do their job. Yeah, it's. Do you have other clips from this interview, or am I free to go off on it a little bit?
I have one more, but you go ahead and go off. It's not really on the same topic. It's just a funny one later that you sent.
I was going to mention in part of this interview, Tucker comes out. Ted Cruz says, "Yeah, the reason I ran for Senate was specifically to support Israel," and Tucker calls him on that. He's like,
Whoa,
"You ran for
really?
as an American senator just because you wanted to support Israel," and then he had to like backtrack and twist it. Like Ted Cruz comes off looking bad in this. Like Tucker's doing is providing reasonable pushback and like doing the thing journalists are supposed to do and speaking, being, that confrontational force there to like get you in. You saw that in there, he's trying to get Ted Cruz to actually come out and say what you're trying to do. And Ted Cruz is trying to be evasive. And Tucker's like,
he's not even being that evasive, honestly. He
was trying to get around. He's like,
he backed
Israel. And then Tucker's like, define Israel.
Right.
It's that. And then, like Tucker's putting there trying to be like, no, actually tell me what you're believing here. And, it's the nation of Israel was founded thousands of years ago and it didn't exist for a while, but it came back 70 years ago. And I think it was I can't remember if it was Kyle Anzalone or Dave DeCamp.
Dave DeCamp.
Had you know what tweet I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it was one of those two guys. Said, in the replies there was like, okay, if I name my son Jesus, do you have to support him as your as God? Like,
makes about the same amount of sense.
Yeah. It was I saw that. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what, that's exactly the thing here.
Yeah. Let's see. So here it is. So basically, Ted Cruz is saying this is the quote that last night Tucker Carlson acknowledged as a Christian, the biblical mandate is to bless Israel, but suggested that the government of blah, blah, blah is not biblical. And then Ted Cruz said yes, and Tucker really argues that when the Bible says Israel, it doesn't mean Israel. Mm-hmm. Dave DeCamp, if I name my son Jesus, would you worship him as God because he has the same name as Jesus in the Bible?
It's such a good point.
And at this point, he's ratioing him by about 7,000 likes.
Which is wild because Ted Cruz is such a much bigger account. But yeah, that was such a great tweet when I saw it. And there's a whole lot to dive in on that.
Here's one more thing just on that is here's the verse that they were talking about. So Genesis 12, 1-3. Now the Lord has said to Abraham, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house to a land I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So the word Israel seems to be missing there. And in fact, it doesn't appear in all of Genesis. So it seems like, they're talking about the family of Abraham. And I guess they're, you can make an argument, I guess that's Israel, but I don't get the argument that it's modern Israel.
He's acting like it's so obvious, though, that it's exactly a word for word, one-to-one comparison. And it's like all of this is expansion and, inference at this point. As far as I'm no expert, but
not to mention when you look at the history of the modern nation state of Israel, it was founded by a bunch of atheist communists.
Yes.
Of Jewish heritage. Which, I guess that, what's the biblical of it now? The religion has seemed to really take off there and be a central part, especially to a lot of harder right-wing, I guess, defense ministers, and it seems to be a justification more than anything. But if you look at the history of most of them, they were not practicing Jews. They were, I guess culturally or ethnically, if you want to say that, Jewish. But like if you ever listen to Martyr Maid's what is it, the new his Jerusalem series, whatever it's called, he he dives into the history of this, and I think it's just fascinating. You see, and you go back to Zionism coming from Herzl, and just like in part of that he covers everything that Herzl tried before that. Like at one point it was settling somewhere else, or at one point part of it was, oh, we should just all convert to Catholicism. every Jew should just convert. And then like Herzl was quite anti-Semitic, you could say, about themselves in that, because I guess part of it was like, no, we're still going to be Jews no matter what, so we have to find our own place. And then that got twisted into, let's take this land, and we get Balfour Declaration. So it's kind of wild when you look at the history of this, like what it went to. And then at one point Herzl tried to get the Pope on board with it, and the Pope was like, no, I'd rather the Muslims have Jerusalem than you guys.
I didn't notice the history of that. That's interesting.
I think I have the quote. Let me pull this up because it's kind of wild.
While you look for that,
go ahead, Ted.
Well, I was just gonna say, and stop me, Steven, if any of this sounds familiar and you want to expand on it. But I've been reading a bit about this and like the different views on, Israel in Christianity. And it seems like the probably one that maybe you and me growing up would have been most familiar with is dispensationalism. Probably growing up in Baptist churches, although we never called it that. This is a new term to me.
Yeah.
But it's that God has two separate plans, one for the Israel and one for the church. And the promises made to Israel in the Old Testament, like land, a temple, and the kingdom, still apply to the Jewish people and will be fulfilled in the future. Right now, we're basically in like a church age. But one day God will restart his plan with Israel and lead to events like the rapture, tribulation, and 1,000-year reign from Jerusalem. So that sounds pretty similar to, I guess, what I would have heard in church growing up. And that's called dispensationalism. And from what I've heard, a lot of that comes from the Schofield Study Bible, where it had notes in there on how to interpret different, verses and passages, and that seems to be a pretty big view on it. But there are others. Catholics don't believe that. I think they believe, and I may be wrong about this, I'm not Catholic, but supersessionism. I think that's right what I'm saying. But basically the church replaced Israel as God's chosen people because Israel rejects Jesus. The promise of God now applies to the church instead. You
can't ignore that. For decades, if not hundreds of years, Orthodox Jews spit on Christians. Like they view us as like lesser beings. Like it's, you think the two are kind of adjacent, and for the most part we get along. But I mean, like there is a sect of Judaism that has treated just Christians awfully.
I've got the quote
long time. Okay.
So this was the quote from Pope Pius X to Theodor Herzl, the father of Zionism. Mm-hmm. We are unable to favor this movement. We cannot prevent the Jews from going to Jerusalem, but we could never sanction it. The ground of Jerusalem, if it were not always sacred, has been sanctified by the life of Jesus Christ. As the head of the church, I cannot answer you otherwise. The Jews have not recognized our Lord, therefore we cannot recognize the Jewish people. And so if you come to Palestine and settle your people there, we will be ready with churches and priests to baptize all of you.
That's rough.
Yeah, it's a dicey history for sure. And it's, and then you get into the whole Palestine debate, which I don't know. We've kind of touched on that before. But okay, so let's just say for a second that Ted Cruz, with no actual citation or no backing up of anything, is actually correct. Okay, let's just assume that for a second. This is,
if we must,
this is the country that built our domestic spy grid in the wake of 9/11. This is the country that hired Jeffrey Epstein, and the list goes on, and the list goes on, and the list goes on. Do you honestly think God would have you support that?
Well, and I mean, from a Christian perspective, all the Jews reject Jesus Christ, and the Bible says nobody comes to the Father except through the Son. So, I mean, it would seem odd that it's like, yes, this country is uniquely chosen and blessed, but they all, reject what Ted Cruz would believe when he reads the rest of the Bible.
That is a good point. That he's honing in on one thing, making more of it than it even says, or more literally than it appears to say. But then that would be to disregard the other 99.9% of the Bible that is at odds with this, theoretically.
I think you would be surprised, like what portion of the U.S. population votes based on what came out of Ted Cruz's mouth.
How do you mean?
Like, it's number one, who has the best head of hair. Number two, who supports Israel. Because I read this in the Bible, but no, I didn't really.
Yeah.
And it's, those two things right there is at least half of our elections.
It's unfortunate how intertwined we are with, really any in foreign affairs, like to be beholden to any one other nation that much. But our link with Israel is pretty severe. And I don't know quite why to the fullest extent, like where it started or whatever, but I could name a lot of things going back to like Kennedy's days even and whatever. And like, it's a really, I don't care for it on a government level, but the problem is like socially, if you start to critique this, it's so complicated because it gets defended as like, the word anti-Semite gets thrown around and stuff. And I'm like, no. Like I'm critiquing like Zionism or like the Israeli government or something like that, or like this weird practice and how it pertains to like our government or whatever. Like, honestly, I don't even give one fuck, like as far as religion goes and like the Jewish people or whatever. Like I give the least fucks. I don't give a single fuck. And I worry that like my critiques just like purely on a government level would be seen as whatever, Semitism or something, because they're like somehow being like inextricably linked. And it's unfortunate that I have critiques of my own government. And like, that doesn't mean I like hate all of like the people. We're not as tied to a religion specifically, but I don't hate Christians. I don't hate all of the people of this nation or whatever. Like but I hate a lot of things that my government does and my intelligence agencies do. And the same thing with the Mossad. I don't like the Mossad and what they're up to. And like,
right. You should always be able to critique a government.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you talk about like propaganda and, infiltration of certain pieces of society with, mind control, neurolinguistic programming, stuff like that. And, the big worry, anybody that's had family that served in World War II or the Korean War or anything like that, like it was always, first it was the Japs were coming to get us, and then the Koreans are coming to get us, and then Chinese propaganda. Oh, we got to watch out for communism, Chinese propaganda, all this kind of stuff. But then you say one bad thing about Israel, like, hey, Bible said don't do that. Well, whoa, what?
It's defended magically.
And this was a country that sunk an American ship and murdered American sailors.
Oh yeah, that's right. In the
USS Liberty on a bright sunny day, big gray ship, U.S. flag flying. Israeli had multiple waves of attacks that came in on this on the attempt to sink it and make sure there were no survivors. To try to, from what it looks like, to try to false flag it and drag us into a war, into their war against Egypt.
And
it's not like the ship was sitting
them.
And you talk to the you listen to the guys talk who are still around from that. Right, they didn't have any Hebrew interpreters on board. They were off the coast of Egypt listening. Like it wasn't an armed ship. It was a reconnaissance vessel, and they're sitting there listening, to what Egypt was going on. So, for all intents and purposes, I guess still probably on Israel's side at that point. And they came in and they're like, "All right, we're going to try to kill everyone on this ship." And then blame, and basically, from what I see on it, blame Egypt for it, drag you guys in.
Well, and I mean, the weird part to me is, it's just on the flip side of it. Iran, or excuse me, pinky out Iran. Are they innocent? Hell no. So it's really just this big cluster of like, why am I involved in any of this?
Mm-hmm.
And what do we gain from it? Yeah, exactly. Some quack. You're just not supposed to bomb your neighbors just because. Just like there's a rumor going around. We're going to go ahead and bomb you.
And not to mention that, it's back to the same excuse. And, there've been video compilations and all sorts of other compilations floating around the internet this week of Netanyahu for the past 30 years saying, oh, Iran's weeks away from having a nuclear bomb. And like, okay, you're 30 years into 6 months until they have it. Like at some point, the 2003 Iraq war excuse of weapons of mass destruction is kind of that. Now, my understanding is, yes, they've enriched to a higher level. I think they've enriched to 60%, which, greatly.
Which is, three. By the way, if it's just generating power, you don't need to get over. It's like something in the low 20s.
I think less than that. I think medical is around the 20s.
There you go.
So they've enriched up to those higher levels, and part of that is I think because of Trump's actions getting out of the JCPOA and saying, okay, well, we're going to enrich these higher levels, and as Scott Horton says on this, that's kind of the bargaining chip is we've enriched to these higher levels. I mean, 60%, you're still a little bit of a ways off from enriching to those higher percentages. That's still a good amount of work through the centrifuges.
And the difference in generating power and the medical use and weapons grade is not just like, it's not like, oh, I left it in the microwave. Oh, sorry, I didn't turn the oven off. It's like you have to want and try to do this. Like that is your goal. Like it's not just oopsie, I left the power on.
Right.
Yeah, my understanding of the process on this is basically you take the uranium, you make uranium hexafluoride, which is a gas. And then you spin it in the centrifuges, so all the heavy stuff goes to the outside, and then you're scooping off little bits of that, and you have to do that over and over and over again through multiple runs of centrifuges to get those higher percentages. It's not a trivial process.
And a hard one to do on accident.
Yeah. So like, you're enriching up to 60%, which from Scott Horton's opinion on that and everything he said is like that's their bargaining chip is okay. Let's get back to a deal and we'll get rid of the 60% and we'll go back down to the electrical grade and the power grade, the medical grade, and we'll do that there. But Trump had to come in and tear that up, which was one of the biggest dumbest blunders because it's like, all right, what are the JCPOA? What did it do? It took weapons grade uranium, weapons grade material off the table from Iran. It took that excuse away from Israel. It took the excuse of it has a bomb because they were allowing inspections. They were allowing this, they were saying well under that 90% necessary.
Yeah. And then from what I understand about the demographics of Iran, is that they have a large sector of their population. I think it's like 35 to 40% of the population is under the age of 50. They don't have a whole lot of old folks. Something to do with the revolution a few years
This is
ago.
already more than Ted Cruz knows about Iran, by the way.
Right. But, and this is just something I learned at, the Marine Corps birthday at Hammerhead's Bar in Sewanee, Georgia, having a cigarette with an Iranian. Just listening to him talk. Yeah, well, exactly. He called himself Persian, which oddly enough, the ones that do that want nothing to do with the theocracy.
Yeah.
Because you look at the Persian Empire, that was the last time that country made an offensive stance at anything, really. It's been otherwise militarily a peaceful nation. Yes, they have their, people that work in the shadows. They had their little military wing that does all their secret co-op stuff. Every country does, though. So, I mean, does theirs do it a little extra these days? Probably. But for the most part, the population is people our age that just want to work and live and support their families, and they don't want any part of this stuff. And that crazy man on TV that has the other half of their country hypnotized pisses them off.
I feel like this is a lot of nations is what we're speaking to, and the critiques we have are of the governments, and like we shouldn't forget this. And it's just a simple thing, but it's something that I constantly want to reiterate, just because if I critique someone, it's not the people of the nation, and most of the time, the people, again, similar to us, are split on their current leader. So there's some that may support it and some that may not. It's like a complicated situation. And this goes for Israel too. There's a lot of people that I've heard talk that have lived in Israel, and they're like, yeah, I don't like how they're running stuff over there right now. And like, I would probably agree with some of the people that live there.
There's plenty of Jews who oppose what Israel's doing and all and everything there. You know, it's not an everything, you know, on it. But you know, it's funny to look at it because this Ayatollah is not the Ayatollah of the revolution as much as their names are incredibly similar. You know, he's not as you know, Scott Horton always calls the revolution Ayatollah the mean old Ayatollah, and this one has been a little bit more reasonable, willing to talk. Now, really, I bet, you know, if someone like Donald Trump were willing, I know Scott Horton says this, to get on a plane and go to Tehran, a lot of this would be solved with a sit-down conversation. Right. And throughout that interview, you know, Ted Cruz asserts the Iran's trying to kill Donald Trump thing. And Tucker rightly calls him on it. Like, okay, you've said that. Yeah. Where's the evidence of it? And he's like, well, there's been congressional testimony that says it. But it's like, where's the evidence? And Tucker's like, fine, if this is true, we should be at war with Iran for trying to kill our leaders. And Ted Cruz is like, well, they're not effective at it. And and Tucker's like, no, that's not the standard. Yeah, it's.
Let's watch
that whole interview is wild, and I think everyone should watch it.
I don't know if this is it, but this might be at least part of it.
I'm asking about your allegation and the Prime Minister of Israel's allegation that
Iran is trying to murder killing our enemies. Killing terrorists is a good thing. Killing people who are trying to murder Americans is a good thing. Because if you're America first, you want to protect America, and so killing Osama bin Laden was a fantastic.
But you don't really believe that they're trying to murder Trump, or
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Then why aren't you calling for military action against Tehran right now?
Because they're not very effective. In terms of hitmen, their hitmen are not very effective. I do think
so. They're hitmen, but not the bad kind, the efficient kind.
No,
what are you saying?
They're a weak country who is on its knees, and I think we need to.
Then why are we so afraid of them? Why are they the biggest threat if they're a weak country that's on its knees?
Because they're trying.
I'm trying to keep track.
They're trying to develop.
Oh, God.
A little less snarky.
I know, you're right. That is a problem that I have. I'm sorry. I'm asking about your allegation.
I love Tucker so much.
That got me, man. That was hilarious. I know it's a problem I have. I'm working on it.
But he starts providing reasonable pushback. Like, okay, they're trying to kill our president. We should do something about that. Well, they're not effective. Well, then they're not a threat, right? Wow.
That's too funny.
There's just no good answer there from Ted Cruz.
It's so funny that like 10 years ago.
We killed Soleimani. So, like, you know, I remember Trump's first term, we had credible intel that Soleimani was trying to kill Trump. So we killed him with a drone. Did they retaliate? No.
Barely.
Right.
They launched missiles at an unoccupied corner of an American base where, like, maybe some people got concussions.
Was that in Afghanistan or Iraq?
I think it was some bases in Iraq or Syria. I think it was Syria, and it was some unoccupied corner, and nobody got killed or seriously hurt. And Donald Trump, in an intelligent move at that point, was like, "Okay, we're done here." Mm-hmm. That was an intelligent move. After that, was not further escalating on that retaliation.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if this has anything to do with why Ted Cruz is so up Israel's butt. So he's gotten nearly $2 million from AIPAC. And I don't know, you know, what timeline that's on. And then also he's called Sleazy Feline there. I guess that's something Tucker called him once. So it works.
Weird.
That was funny. If you watch the interview, part of it, you know, they start going in and Ted Cruz is like, oh, AIPAC's not that effective. And I supported Israel before AIPAC supported me. And, you know, it dives into that. I'm telling you, if anyone hasn't watched it, go listen or listen to it, go listen to it, because I thought it was a great interview, and Tucker just provides the right, just questioning and trying to actually nail him down and get him, and Ted Cruz doesn't have answers for a lot of it. I mean, he resorts to the anti-Semitic claim, well, now you're being,
see, this is what I'm
Tucker
talking about.
anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
You push back.
And then
he says that Tucker's
Tucker
obsessed
Carlson,
with Israel. Like, oh, I'm
And,
obsessed with
yeah.
Israel. You're the,
You're the one who ran specifically.
yeah.
Yeah,
No,
who
I
said the
didn't.
reason
Well, that's what you told
you're a
me.
senator? Yeah.
Which,
Here's
by the
this-
way, the Semites in modern day context would be the Saudis, from what I
Is
can
that
tell.
right?
I
don't know.
Semitic is a family of languages, so it includes Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic,
Mm.
things like that. So anyone within that is a Semitic people.
So yeah, it's more Arab than Jew.
Yeah, Semite does not mean Jew.
Okay.
I mean, but English is Germanic.
like
It
that.
doesn't mean I'm German or Germanic.
That's
I mean, I might be. I don't know.
Yeah.
but-
that's funny.
I don't know, how do you send love to people? That'll be a test.
How do I do what?
How do you send somebody your love?
Oh yeah, that's true. Like all the way. Yeah. Here's the sleazy feline line. I guess Tucker maybe have called
That's
him
your
that before.
theology. You're going back. Am I a sleazy feline again? I mean, if
I don't know what that's about. But
I've never heard that before.
Oh my gosh. So I will never forget, and this brings it up. I will never forget when he was debating Trump for Trump's first term, and there was a slow-mo, and he ate one of his own boogers. And it wasn't like he
Wait,
it wasn't
no.
like he picked it and ate it. It was like it rolled from his nostril into his mouth, and he just swallowed it and then answered the question.
What?
Oh yeah.
I did not see
I'm
that.
horrified by this.
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna see if I can bring this up.
I'm actually good not seeing that.
Yeah, I mean,
It's so
I don't know how I feel. It's like I want verification, but I also don't want that in my mind any more than it already
Yeah,
is.
I believe Stephen that it happened.
No.
That's-
All right. So
Terrifying.
anything before we move on, anything more about Israel, this whole war kicking off, Trump's response, what the Bible says about all this, any of the things we've talked about?
I'll definitely once again plug the Martyr Made episodes, the Fear and Loathing in the New Jerusalem. That's the name of the episodes. Long series. He did an updated one not too long ago to get a little bit more modern. But if you don't have the context behind it, if you don't have a lot of the context, it's hard to understand what's actually going on. So I think understanding the context and the players in the early founding kind of gives a good base on how to analyze the situation going forward. And then, yeah, definitely watch that Tucker interview if you haven't, because it's great.
Well, and
I saw that Randy Fine was supposed to go on a Tucker interview also. If you don't know, he's the whale. He's the whale from Florida that basically said murder every child in Gaza and all sorts of insane stuff.
Well,
Rep
look,
from
so
Florida.
here's the thing.
He took Matt Gates' seat, and
Yeah.
he
By the way,
apparently like
Steven,
a bunch
next
of
time
other
you
people-
talk, I'm playing the booger clip while you talk. That's your punishment.
And-
So-
Yeah, and apparently Ben Shapiro and several other people were like, "No, you are not ready for Tucker. you cannot go talk to Tucker."
yeah.
Well, and that's one thing that, I mean, if you're going to go to war, you're going to go to war, right? You're going to kill people, whoever you have to, and just take it from the guy right here eating the booger. That we have to go to war with these folks. You see it right there on his lip, and then it just falls in the mouth, and there it goes, just down the hatch, right? Oh my gosh, that was his poll. He lost 5% in the polls that night.
I did not know about that.
Oh man,
Me
that was
neither.
wild. So now that we've attacked this from a logical angle, you take the conspiracy side of things too, because there's like 2 countries left that don't have a Rothschild bank: North Korea and
Iran, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Venezuela as well, but I think they're about to have one now, thanks to Maduro.
I thought there was a few more than 2, but I knew that North Korea and Iran were were two of them at least, but
that'd be worth a search. I mean, there was
countries that like refuse the petrodollar and the Rothschild bank system and things like that, and then we're always at odds with them, of course, like these places, like
right. Which let's not forget, the Rothschilds are a Jewish family, and they're the the rule the world type. If you buy into this narrative, they're the Ashkenazi Jews. Those are the ones.
Apparently, the Schofield Bible came from them commissioning it as well.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh man,
I saw video clips of Ian Carroll making that claim. But they pushed it, and then they used their press houses to print it and distribute it across the Bible Belt. So,
well, and that's there's a neat documentary that'll really make your hair stand up called New World Order Bible Versions. I think Alex Jones sponsored it. And I mean, there's a couple of pretty radical pastors that go through the history of the translations, and they talk about how certain passages have been diluted, and they claim it's deliberate. But and that's another angle to this is, why could we possibly be going to war with Iran? And it's, the Rothschild banking cartel just told us to.
In general, banking, like whether it's Rothschild banking or the London banking or whatever it is, like someone's funding wars and making money on both sides. And so whenever when war is profitable, it will come up more than it should because of just purely the profits. And then you look to who makes the money from it. And it's the lenders. It's the people that are lending money to both sides of a war. This has been going on for hundreds of years. And it's not a new thing. And it's frustrating to see that it's just not changed. But
that's a perfect segue too to what we're going to talk about next.
Oh, sure.
So Palantir stock poised to surge amidst Israeli. Well, this is actually phrases the question: is Palantir stock poised to surge amidst the Israeli-Iran conflict? Mm-hmm. And then it says Palantir has emerged as a unique investment opportunity. Known for advanced data analytics, it has been quietly powering intelligence and battlefield logistics. Since October, it has supplied battlefield-grade AI tools through strategic partnerships with Israel's Ministry of Defense. Technology that's now center stage amidst escalating conflict. Palantir's data fusion platform helps government act on chaos, making it critical asset in physical warfare and digital disruption. Probably in psychological warfare too.
Yeah.
Anyway, it says it hit a defense jackpot with the Department of Defense buying some system for $480 million to $1.275 billion. And then NATO adopted it. The stock, and they keep talking about this in terms of the stock. And it's like, and that was great for the stock. And it's now in the S&P 500. And
the stock has gone up a lot. I had a couple shares I bought probably back in 2021. And I sold those off maybe like 2 or 3 months ago. Like when I first bought it, it was down for a while. And then I went back and I was like, I went to go sell it because I needed some money. And that price went way up. That price has gone way up by that point, and I took that profit, and I'm like, I don't want to be in Palantir anyway. So
so this is an example of not just a traditional, weapons manufacturer like Boeing or Lockheed or something like that going up, but these people just supplying like AI and connecting information is now, so-called defense, and people are making a ton of money off that.
The tech contractors now, it's like a whole different sector. It's crazy.
Yeah. And if you look at their stock over the past 6 months, it's up 89%.
Damn.
Yeah.
I told you it went way up, and that's why I got out and was like, all right, I'm taking them profits.
Yeah. It's $140 a share. And you go just a year ago, June of 2024, it was $25 a share.
Yeah. Look at like the 2021 time range when I bought in. And maybe I only had like 4 or 5 shares, but
yeah, I tried to buy some during COVID because StockTwits put me on it.
Yeah.
And it took a dump in 2020, and I had to I dropped it, and
I bought after that, and then I sold, like I said, maybe like 2 or 3 months ago.
I mean,
So
if
I
I
wrote that
would have
way
stayed
up.
in it in 2020, I could buy a couple of Bitcoin right now, and that makes me upset.
It said I didn't have much, but I had enough to make a couple $100 profit.
Well, here's another thing that is happening with Palantir right now. So AOC and others demand answers from Palantir about plans to build IRS mega database of American citizens. Let's see everything in this article. So here's the actual letter that apparently they sent.
I have a bone to pick about the subheading on that article.
All right. Well, the subheading was right-wing aligned tech company is assisting Trump in likely mass violations of Privacy Act and tax privacy laws.
Yeah, I don't think they're a right-wing aligned company. I mean, Alex Karp was on video bragging about how he was helping at Palantir they were helping shut down the far right in Europe.
Mm.
You know, I don't see them as a right wing. They're using whatever is useful to them, and currently the Trump administration is quite useful to them.
Yeah.
Fair.
And I mean, this is hard to say because it is a Peter Thiel company, and there's always, Peter Thiel, the libertarian billionaire, co-founder of PayPal and blah blah. But I've always been suspicious with Palantir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, hell, it's called Palantir. I mean, like,
right?
Yeah.
It does not have a good connotation with it.
A fellow Tolkien nerd.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Here's a few lines from this letter. So it says that they're demanding information regarding reports that Palantir is enabling and profiting from serious violations of federal law by amassing troves of data on Americans to create a government-wide searchable mega database containing sensitive taxpayer data of American citizens.
There's no good word in that sentence.
No.
None
And also,
at all.
I'm not sure that that's a report. That's what they're being paid to do by the government. Like, that is the point of Palantir.
Well, so my question after reading that, though, like, if that's supposed to be a condemnation of the company and their practices, what the hell is a fusion center?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I thought that's what you were doing as the federal government since at least 2013 when Snowden told us about it.
But they don't have a fusion center connected to the IRS, connected to this, connected to that. It's still all segmented. Palantir's the bridge.
Yeah, maybe so.
Again, we're talking. Think about it. You're talking government development. Therefore, it's slow. It's inefficient. And Palantir's coming in and saying, "Oh, we can get you the nice system. We're going to bridge all this stuff together. We're going to make it super easy. We're going to be able to pick this, pick that, and tie everything together on every single person in the country."
Okay, so here we go. Optimistic plot twist. Elon Musk is really our guy.
Israeli?
Guy? There you go. And all these government departments he was going into, he put in measures to block this mega database coming.
I have suspicions Elon Musk is more on our side than many others.
Well, he has a vested interest in blocking this crap because first and foremost, he wants his AI to be more powerful. If it's for nothing other than a business move, that's it. But if he's truly in the freedom movement and like he knew, hey, the rug pull is coming. These guys aren't going to let me really do what they asked me to do. This is all bluster. I got to bust my ass and really be effective until they figure out that I'm actually doing things.
Well, Elon's also the only person who was going off about things like the national debt and things like that, where he's making the point that, I mean, how many times did he, Friedman and everyone else that he retweeted, he tweeted, he posted videos of. It's like, no, he actually at least is putting on a good show that he understands that the current debt levels, the current spending, the current everything that's going on is a real problem that is going to affect our kids, our grandchildren, and potentially, destroy the entire country.
Yeah.
Likely destroy the entire country when you have to repudiate the debt, wreck everything.
Well, here in this letter, AOC kind of accuses. I'm acting like she wrote this. I mean, she signed it, but I don't know who wrote this. But it said but she's basically saying the opposite. I'm still gonna act like she wrote it anyway. It says Palantir employees have reportedly been installed at the IRS, where they are helping the agency use Palantir software to create a single searchable database of taxpayer records. The sensitive data compiled into Palantir's database will likely be shared throughout government, regardless of whether the access will be related to tax administration or enforcement.
Oh, perfect.
Then it says that the Palantir's products and services were reportedly selected by Elon Musk of Doge. And several Doge members are former Palantir employees. So I don't know if this is true, but she's making that a complete opposite claim, is that, you know, I guess as part of government efficiency, Elon selected Palantir to be more efficient. Like, you know, the IRS is clunky and sucks right now. What if they had this, you know, information sharing and this AI to help them?
And that would also be the autistic thing to do, of like, how could I mean, because you get in there and from a business perspective, it doesn't make sense that you have all these departments that can't talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, let's unify this in a searchable database, you know, with total disregard for, is this even necessary? Because I mean, from the sound of things, just from the IRS perspective, aren't the credit bureaus already doing that?
Right.
You know, and didn't they just get fined big time for making that information available to people that shouldn't have it? So this whole thing stinks. And just rest assured, we're not going to get the truth until we're already screwed, and it's 10 years later.
Yeah.
As is the way. Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, Palantir is a Peter Thiel company. I was under the impression that Elon Musk is not on the best terms with the other members of the PayPal mafia. I could be wrong on that, but I did not think him and Thiel got along. I thought there was a lot of tension between a lot of those guys from PayPal and Elon.
Well, I mean, yeah, the PayPal thing, I mean, because that's like Elon supposedly created that, but then you know, you really look into it, and it was kind of like Bill Gates created Windows. No, Bill Gates traded a car stereo
Al
system.
Gore created the internet.
I don't know the full story, and I haven't dug deep enough. But my understanding was like you had like PayPal over here, and then you had Elon Musk's X.com over here, and like it ended up just like X became that, and a lot of the other PayPal guys like didn't think Elon really contributed to it. Like if you look also, what Elon bought in as a founder, he wasn't like the ground floor founder of Tesla. There were guys, they were building an electric car.
Yeah.
They were getting it. Elon bought it out from them.
And he's open about that.
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, it would not be what it is today without him. So he's, you know, he's like, I own Tesla, you know, I'm the executive, but it's not mine. You know, he's open about that. I think he told Rogan about that.
He was making some claim that, well, they didn't have anything until I came along. So
right.
There's that too. So
yeah,
it's a little bit of a tough story there.
Yeah. Part of me wonders if, you know, when Doge went into the IRS or whatever, and they saw that the database was so messed up, and I think it had even been down for months, and they weren't sure if it was going to be up in time for filing season, if they were just like, you know what, let's just train the AI on the data. We don't have to fix the database. We just have to like put it into this neural net. We don't even have to know how it works. We'll just know that it kind of works.
Which is even worse. I've seen some folks too that are they're like junior level programmers, and they're like, yeah, hey, I had AI analyze my code, and it cleaned it up and compartmentalized everything, and it doesn't work, but it's beautiful.
Hilarious.
Yeah, the program doesn't actually run, but man, you can see everything in this code.
It's like a metaphor for government. It doesn't work, but it's made to look good. Like, yeah, it's made to sound good.
All right. Well, you guys ready for some trivia?
Let's do it.
Well, we have trivia tonight. Sweet.
Yeah, this is Jake trivia. I didn't make it, so we get a little representation of Jake anyway.
Might need another splash of whiskey for trivia here.
All right, I'm gonna take. There we go. Here's the intro. Boom. All right.
That's not trivia.
Antarctica trivia. And not the right background. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I needed to change. Boom. Nope, that's just me now.
It's like we need a backup producer for when Zach's hosting.
Yeah. Although I should be able to do this. I mean, I remember now.
If you want to be backup producer, send Zach a DM.
There we go. That sounds like something you would see on House Hunters. They'd be like, Zach's a backup podcast producer and Sarah is a butterfly wrangler and their budget is $4 million. Like,
yeah.
All right. So can I make that bigger? I can't see the slide. Oh, well. Maybe I can bring it up in another window. No, I'll just full screen. I don't want to be able to see the audience. Whatever. I'll just...
So this day in history, Oregon Trail, in honor of Jake making a 2,200-mile journey across the country from the dirty South to the big sky country on his quest to find himself, find peace, and find a Sasquatch.
Sam Squanch.
While shirking his responsibilities to Liberty Libations. There we go.
Yeah.
And then bread.
And then round 3 is bread. Yeah.
And just All right. So the rules, 3 rounds. 8 questions the first round, 1 point each. Round 2, 6 questions, 2 points. Round 3, 4 questions, 3 points. If you blurt out an answer, you lose a point. Write it down on paper. And the winner is no longer a loser. And also it says now, don't lose to the audience. I guess that's an official rule.
That's a rule. So
Where's this?
How do you avoid that?
Where's it say don't lose to the audience? I don't see
right
that.
under the rules. It says the rules.
Oh, there.
Don't lose to the audience. So I guess if you lose to the audience, you're not only a loser, but you're breaking the rules.
Oh,
yeah. You're a felon.
Yep.
All right. That sounds like a mission for a libertarian there.
Yep. Round 1, this day in history. Question number 1. Wait, I'm supposed to read the questions though, right? Not display them.
I
guess I'll open
that, right?
It's whatever.
Yeah, well, we don't have. Oh, we do have Nick though. I was about to say we don't have Zane, who's like way faster, but Nick is pretty.
Well, we don't
fast
do
too.
we just write it down. We don't do a time thing, so you can throw the question up. It's fine.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Okay, on this day in 1865, Texas slaves are finally set free. 2 full years after the Emancipation Proclamation, resulting in what holiday? On this day. So it is currently happening right now.
Starting it off easy. With a holiday that wasn't a holiday outside of Texas until 5 years ago.
All right. Juneteenth, says Steven.
That's right.
Same.
Juneteenth Alden, Juneteenth Nick. All right. I better keep score. Here goes. Nick, Alden, Steven.
Is it
Everyone's got
safe
one.
to say yet? Like, is it enough time passed to say that that's a stupid word, or is that not allowed to be said yet?
Juneteenth?
Yeah.
I think it's more popular than it's ever been. Like, people are kind of crazy about it now, so it's probably the worst time to say it.
Like, we call the 4th of July the 4th of July. Why not just June 19th? Right? Because, like, Juneteenth, you could have the 14th, 15th, 16th.
I know. That's what I'm saying, is that it doesn't assign a singular day. It's like an entire week, whatever.
You should just make it a 7-day celebration.
And also, like, I think slaves in New Jersey or something weren't freed until after this day anyway, so it's kind of an arbitrary day.
Ugh, I just went to a
well,
really
I mean, that's just like Cinco de Mayo. You know, like if it weren't for the Battle of Puebla, Mexico would probably be speaking French, and it would be a first world country.
That'd be interesting.
I mean, they were ruled by the Habsburgs.
Right.
Juneteenth. All right. Question number 2. On this day in 1856, the first Republican National Convention concludes in what city?
No.
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What you got, Nick?
I said Philadelphia.
Philadelphia. Alden?
I said Oklahoma City. I have no idea.
I said Philly.
Philly also? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, and the answer is Philadelphia.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Shot in the dark, but it was worth it.
Well, so was mine, and mine was way off. So
All right, question 3. On this day in 1864, off the coast of France, the USS Kearsarge sinks what infamous CSS ship?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Kearsarge.
Fucking no. Can I just say that, like, I there's no fucking way that I would know this ever in my life.
Right.
Ever. I'm not
So
vain.
just name a Confederate ship, I guess. Like, I'm not even saying name one that you know. Just like give it a name you would give it. Oh, the audience too. I'm sorry. So we got Juneteenth and Arlington. So the audience has one.
Has won? They already won?
Yep, they have one.
So we broke the rules already.
Yeah. Failures.
All right,
Criminals.
Steven.
I'm saying the Iron Beast.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alden.
This is an Anchorman reference for anyone that knows, but the diversity. An old wooden ship.
And then Nick.
Shot in the dark. I said Charleston. I thought maybe Old Ironsides was the.
That's a dance, Nick.
Well, and I don't know. I guess Arlington might be her guess for this one. I don't know, but it is the CSS Alabama.
So it's,
Ironsides.
I thought you were saying that because this was going to be the CSS Arlington or something, but it's wrong either way. So
It was wrong anyway.
Just acknowledging everyone's guesses, but
yeah, no, that's fair.
All right. Question 4. On this day in 1905, the first theater of its kind opened. A few decades later, in 1979, a TV channel known for its cartoons and kids programming was launched using the same name as the theater that opened in 1905. What was its name?
What?
It's a kind of theater.
Oh my God.
Not, I guess, a name of the theater. It's not, I don't know.
If you know, you know. If not,
Okay. What TV channels are known for their cartoons and kids programming? That narrows it down significantly. Especially since there's not a theater called the Disney Channel.
hey, no answers.
All right, Steven.
Nickelodeon.
Nickelodeon.
That's also
Nickelodeon
yeah.
and Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
All right, everyone gets a point. 2, 3, and then the audience got it too. All right.
I thought maybe Adult Swim, but then I reeled it back a little. Yeah.
Cartoon Network is the
Yeah.
name of the theater.
I guess they cost a nickel.
They did.
Back in the day.
You would put a nickel in it and actually turn it.
Ah, that's right.
Nice.
Cool. Question number 5. On this day in 1953, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg were executed for committing espionage by attempting to do what?
Oh my gosh, we talked about this before on the show.
Did we?
Yes, because we were discussing something, and Nick actually brought the story up, so I know he's going to land this one.
I've already read the trivia, and I can't remember this one.
1953.
It's a long answer. It's not like a single word answer that I can come up with.
The names are so familiar.
How many words is this answer? Is this an essay or is it one word or something? Or
I mean, like it took me a couple words to fully explain.
yeah, because I
all-
a lot to
You
write.
get 5 minutes each.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Write your essay, Alden.
This is the SATs.
No, you get 5 minutes to say the answer. You get 15 to write it. All right, Nick, what do you got?
They were stealing atomic bomb secrets for the Soviets.
Okay. You got anything, Alden?
Spying on the president in the shower.
Some clack says crash a blimp. And then you got
Be commies and destroy the government.
Be commies.
Since I don't know the answer, let's reveal it all together. Here goes. Giving atomic
nice.
secrets to the Soviets.
Nick's
So
got
Nick
it,
gets a
of course.
point.
Yeah.
Crashing a blimp into the shower of the president while being a commie would have been much cooler. But
Yes.
And they absolutely did do it, regardless of what anyone says. They absolutely did.
All right. Question 6. On this day in 2006, construction began on what structure that has not yet been utilized, but that could save humanity in the wake of a cataclysm? So there's a structure that could save us if a cataclysm happened. And it started in 2006, and we have not used it.
Gosh, so many options here.
A lot of options. I got an idea, but who knows?
Who built it?
If he told you that, it'd probably be obvious.
Probably the Anunnaki. Not really. That meant nothing. I'll take that as a hint.
The Great Pyramid of Giza.
Yeah, there we go. Well, and speaking of pyramids, I know Germany is building a pyramid one block at a time. They're like laying one block every 20 years. Something crazy. That's not it. I'm saying it's a seed bank.
Okay. Alden.
I don't know. I was gonna say some kind of bunker or something. I have no idea.
Okay. Nick.
Steven and I are on the same page. I said the Svalbard Seed Vault.
Boom. Global seed vault.
Is that the in Antarctica?
That's the one on Svalbard, right?
I mean, probably. It's up in the Arctic Circle, right?
Oh,
yeah, that's Svalbard.
I'm definitely not going to count you off for that. I'm not Zane. Like, I don't know even more precise than the answers we have here. So
I said it was a seed vault, and I says where it was. It's on Svalbard.
All right. Question number 7.
Terrible. It's
What's
like
terrible?
salty. This whiskey. I switched it up. This is no longer Eagle Round, and it's terrible.
Maybe that was made out of the flood water.
Yeah. Gross.
All right. On this day in 2013, which Soprano star died?
Oh my God.
Rip in peace.
Rip in peace. Fuck.
I don't think that's his name.
So close though.
You want the actor's real name, not what character, right?
I mean, I'll take whatever.
Actor, yeah.
I'm pretty laid back.
Yeah, I'm giving you both.
Damn it.
James Gandolfini, aka Tony.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
Did you get anything,
there.
Alden? No.
No, I couldn't
Nick?
get there in time. But that is, I knew I would know it when I saw it. Yeah.
Right.
Motherfucker. I'm so bad with names. That's why me and trivia, I'm bad with names and dates, and that's like 98% of fucking trivia is names and dates, and I'm like, I'm so fucking bad.
Didn't realize it was all the way back in 2013. I thought he died more than that.
No, I started rewatching the series not long ago, and I noticed they quit making episodes in like 2011. Like,
he came.
The Sopranos. I thought it died. I thought it ended in 2007, 2008 ish.
Maybe. Okay.
See,
they had the movie more recently, but yeah, that was such a good TV show.
He was at SCAD when I was there, and he was featuring a film at the Student Film Festival thing or whatever, and he spoke, and I was 12 feet from him, and I know his fucking name. I just could not think of his fucking name, and that was in 2010 or 11 or whatever.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I'm exactly like that, Alden. It's like if we were having a conversation, we would be going back an hour to be like, hey, I just remembered the thing we were talking about an hour ago.
Yeah.
That's how long it takes our brains.
That's not how trivia works. Like, yeah.
All right. Question number 8.
Ugh.
On this day in 1934, which government organization was created that oversees broadcasts in the United States? All right. Someone throw one up whenever you're ready.
All right.
I'm ready whenever.
I'm saying FCC.
FCC. Alden, you got anything?
I'm gonna just make a joke because I have no idea, but I'm gonna say PBS.
Okay. Nick.
As someone who holds multiple licenses through them, I am saying the FCC.
Yeah. An audience says FCC. It is the FCC. So 7, 6.
I got
Trey.
licenses.
What was that? A
How
taser?
dare you?
No, it's my mic. It's my speaker mic for
I know.
my desk radio here, which brings me on to the story of how I fucked up my car by trying to install a radio in it.
Is that where that started? Oh,
Yes.
oh
I bought a radio and I went over to my brother-in-law's house to install the radio in the car, and I was trying to run the power
Installing
right
a
to the
radio
battery.
used to be so simple.
And there's no easy way in, so we went in, and part of the issue was
now you disconnect your ABS.
on both ends of the radio, on the power cable, there are fuses. So we pulled through the boot with all the other wires.
Yeah.
And we hooked it up, and the radio turned on. But then we turned the car on, and I didn't have ABS, 4-wheel drive, a speedometer. What else didn't I have? Parking brake, like everything just didn't work. Power steering.
Does your audio still work though when your turn signal comes on?
Like the car drove, like everything else kind of worked, I think, but
power steering.
I didn't have power steering. Yeah, so I was.
Fun.
My brother-in-law first took it out. He took it for a test drive. He's like, it works. The parking brake doesn't, and I got it and turned it on. I'm like, there's no speedometer. There's no ABS. Like, this is not really that drivable. I mean, it drives, but it's not something I can use.
God, yeah. Back in my car stereo days, you had to, like when you're hooking up an amp for a car stereo, you had to hook it to a coat hanger and run it under the gas pedal to get through the firewall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we went through by the gas pedal. We went through the rubber boot that has all the other cables.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And we ran a fish tape in between the fish tape and probably pulling it through with the fuse housing.
Well, you fucked something
I
up.
probably should have cut that fuse housing off and then reconnected it on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fucked everything up on it, and so I haven't had a car.
All right.
What's the car? What?
2015 Jeep Cherokee.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's go on with trivia.
Yeah.
Round 2,
Yeah.
the Oregon Trail, which Nick cannot travel on now. Grumpy says no one cares.
Yeah.
I have
Sorry.
I have my dad's truck, so I could probably travel on the Oregon Trail better than most of you.
What was the primary city destination for travelers of the Oregon Trail?
City destination.
So where did you end up? All right, what do you got, Nick?
It says Portland.
Portland.
I just finished writing Portland.
Portland.
I'll
Alden.
just be different just for the sake of it, even though I know the Columbia River comes out through Portland. I'm gonna say Salem just to be an asshole.
And some quack has Oregon City,
Ah,
which is the right.
that is right.
Why are we giving Oregon questions when we have someone in the audience who knows all the answers?
Was the Oregon Trail. I mean, only part of it's in Oregon, right?
I only know that Grandma.
Yeah, the end part, which is exactly what that question was about.
True.
How many times I've buried Grandma when I tried to cross the river in the wet season in that game?
One of these answers better be dysentery.
Approximately how long was the Oregon Trail that led from Missouri to Oregon City? Missouri. So I guess it's a number question. Just closest gets it. Is that what we do now? So
Yeah.
closest gets it. All right. Cool.
Is this in miles or in feet?
It's in
We'll
hours.
translate.
It's
Yeah.
in light years. Yeah.
All right, Steven, what do you got?
500 miles.
500 miles. The Proclaimers could walk it
I put
twice.
1469. Just to
Giggity.
be oddly.
1469
specific, yeah.
what? Gallons?
Yeah, gallons.
I was close to what Alden said, and I said 1,500 miles.
Oh, I'm just under. Oh,
right.
damn it, Nick wins. Is it that
Well, I
long?
think
They
some
did
class
not
closer.
go in a straight fucking
Seems
line.
like the audience wins.
Damn
Yeah.
it.
Some quack said 1975. That is
Damn it.
quite a long way.
I thought it would be shorter, but I'm thinking too direct, and they fucking meandered it like motherfuckers.
Well, you got to go through like the right pass and
Yeah.
whatever through the mountain, the whole Dyatlov
Yeah.
Pass or something.
We hadn't dynamited a bunch of
Dyatlov
stuff
Pass,
yet.
I don't know.
Right. I'm
Alright.
thinking too
In what
modern.
decade did the Oregon Trail see its peak of travelers? Maybe right now.
Yeah, I don't understand what this means because obviously,
Yeah, are they
traveling
saying
today,
coming
like,
back? Because I think a lot of people are leaving the insane coast.
Is this on the same trail?
Let's just-
I took that trail back home, man. Yeah.
Let's assume going there
Hmm.
by covered wagon or something, not in a 18-wheeler. All right, what decade? We got Steven.
1830s.
30s.
I went-
Alright. Oh,
I went way ahead. I went 1890s just to be weird.
90s,
I'm splitting the difference in saying 70s.
70s, and then Grumpy
Against
gets
the
the exact one.
40s. Oh,
30s,
Steven was
90s,
closer.
70s, 63. So I guess Steven gets that one. I don't know.
Grumpy is-
Or maybe no one gets
Yeah.
it.
I was gonna say because if it's a decade, then no one got it. I guess. But
Yeah.
The closest
Yeah,
was it's a
closer.
number.
Is that an?
Right, but then
Zach, this is going to come down to your ruling as the host.
I mean,
If it
mean
was
my
just
gut
a-
instinct was to give it to Steven, so I'm giving it to
me
Steven.
too at first. But then what about how does the audience work with that? Like, what answers do we get from the audience? Think.
Well,
'Cause I
we're
thought
getting
that-
only a
Grumpy
few answers
Grumpy
anyway.
said 63, and it's the first answer that's not a joke. So
Oh, that's right.
63, that's-
okay.
There we go.
20 years.
Quack
If you say
agrees.
60s, it's 20 years.
Some quack says give it to Steven. We give it to Steven.
Steven was 10 years. So
It is decreed.
Yep.
Okay. Question 4. What was the name of the common covered wagon used by many travelers on the Oregon Trail?
a little quiet there.
Yeah.
Steven's giggling. I want to see it.
Yeah.
What is it?
A Bedouin.
Bedouin. Okay.
Yeah.
Alden.
I said
Fred.
Fred. Yeah.
A very common name.
And I am going to go with the name Conestoga, which is a Pennsylvania name.
All right. And then Grumpy guesses Lincoln Continental. She also asked, where's the music? But it is
I hear
playing.
it. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
playing. It just like stopped when we stopped talking, I guess.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We
It
were
takes a
silent
minute
there.
to loop.
Time to
All
drink
right, so
some more terrible whiskey.
Conestoga wagon. So Nick gets
Oh.
it.
It's not Fred.
How do you say that? Conestoga?
Conestoga.
Okay. Here goes.
In the Conestoga
Question-
Valley of Pennsylvania.
Yes.
There you go.
Question 5. What was the most common cause of death along the Oregon Trail?
Aha!
Yeah.
I guarantee that this is the wrong answer. It's probably like
I don't know how to
I
spell
knew
it, but I'm gonna try. Oh my god, my cats.
I think we have to put this as the joke, regardless of if it's right or wrong.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh no.
We'll start with Nick. What'd
It's
you
the
put?
thing that killed me the most in the games.
Dysentery.
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 Yeah.
Dysentery.
Yeah.
Very-
Well, it is cholera.
Damn it!
Which is dysentery. I think that's dysentery.
Well, then the game is inaccurate because I died. Of
I'll ask
dysentery a fucking
ChatGPT.
lot, Yeah.
Is dysentery definitely spelled wrong? And cholera the same?
Rattlesnake
Also-
bites, floods.
They're not the
starvation,
same. They both give you diarrhea.
Scurvy.
So, can't count it.
Yeah. Oh no, you were buried in brown pants. That's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, we lost Nick. He died of dysentery.
Yeah, you beat me to it. Yeah. It was dysentery.
All right. Well,
Where will you be when cholera strikes?
He's winning anyway. Keep going. I'm
uh,
back. Let me in. He says.
you're not back. It's saying device not. Oh, there he is. Maybe. Still can't see you, Nick.
I don't know what I'm getting it on. I don't know. I hit something on the keyboard and the computer went to sleep.
Yeah, you're on the wrong mic again, too.
Motherfucker.
All right.
God.
Are we calling
Well,
dysentery correct?
no. ChatGPT said it was different. They both gave you diarrhea, though. So,
I should
but
have
a lot
said
of things give you diarrhea. I mean, Taco Bell and cholera aren't the same.
Like I went to grab my phone to see if dysentery and cholera were the same thing. Hit
I
something
never
on the
used
keyboard
to.
and the computer went to sleep.
I never used to understand when people would say like the Taco Bell diarrhea jokes. When I was in college, I ate it so much I had iron stomach. I didn't get it. I feel like I turned 30 and I understood immediately.
Yeah.
For me, it was Arby's. I love I love the curly fries, but they make me produce curly fries.
Yeah, I wondered if that's what joke was.
Yeah.
All right. Question 6. What fort in Wyoming was a crucial resupply station about halfway into the trail?
Everybody knows this, right? Everybody knows this.
Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah. Right. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking out on this?
Can't believe my computer shut off like that, and I still got back in time for the next question.
Well, we waited for you.
Yeah, to some extent. I got back as quick as I could, and I didn't have to reload the site. It popped right back up as soon as I turned it on.
Yeah.
But I have never hit a button on the keyboard and just shut down.
All right, Steven, you got an answer?
Oh, I see the button that says power.
Laramie. Alden.
It's
Jackson's
a-hole for it. Yeah.
It's the unofficial name, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I says Laramie also.
God damn it.
Some quack says Laramie.
God damn it.
What it is? Laramie.
God damn it.
So,
I'd rather stay at the a-hole for it.
All right. Round 3, bread, which makes it really almost anybody's game except Alden, probably.
Damn it.
Let's see. 6, 9. No, I guess you can get them all, and no one else gets any. You would still just tie.
I can tie. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I can imagine this one being difficult just because there's so many breads. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeast
All right.
infection.
3 points each. Bread. Question 1. The earliest evidence of bread making dates back 4,500 years to a region that is what country in present day?
That is not
so basically, where is bread made first? Bread. All right, Nick.
Music's we don't have music anymore, but I am going with the land between the rivers and saying Iraq.
I did the same thing. I said
Iraq. Steven.
I'm saying Egypt.
Egypt.
Could be wrong.
And Sunquack says Turkey. And Grumpy says Poland.
Poland.
Everything but Poland is a very reasonable answer.
Also, I still hear the music.
I do too. Yeah. Oh, Jordan.
Jordan.
So it's more of a non-bread.
Could be. Well, that brings us to our next question. What ancient civilization is credited with the creation of leavened bread? So I guess they were making like flat bread in Jordan.
Yeah, right.
But who figured out how to make it rise?
Who gave
Grumpy
it that
was very close. Honestly, I would have had no idea. I would have guessed somewhere insane as well. Michigan.
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 That's Florida. Florida's known for their yeasty breads. Like, oh my god, ancient civilization.
Oh, wait a second. Leavened bread. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So maybe not Israel.
Got it.
All right, Steven.
Levant.
Levant.
I went
That's a civilization.
Lebanon, which is not an ancient civilization.
Nick.
Going a little outside and saying Egypt.
Some quack says Greece, and it is Egypt.
Oh,
damn it! I wrote Egypt first.
Nick,
I think they didn't even really know why it leavened, but they would basically
Just
put their
it out of the
dough
air.
in the same bowl over and over again,
Oh, there you
and
go.
it was growing yeast in the bowl.
See,
And
this is what
yeasting up.
breeds
Yeah.
superstition: is when you do a
Yeah,
thing and it works. Yeah,
I was going off the idea. Well, they on Passover they eat the unleavened bread, so somewhere had to have it leavened near
Yeah.
them, which would be Egypt. That's where I went. Levant was a good idea, though.
I did
All
like
right.
that better. Yeah,
I believe this is the last question. Do we have 3 or 4 in the
I thought there were
last?
4.
4.
Okay,
when
not
Jake
the last
knows,
question.
but I lost
Which
it.
ancient tool, still used today, was essential for grinding grains in flour? I
On
wonder if he
what
means
scale?
into flour.
Is this like a personal scale or like a giant like scale?
Well, I don't know if they had bread factories in ancient world. But maybe the Nephilim were doing it too. You never know.
Nephilim could have been doing it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Nick.
I said the grindstone.
Yeah, there you go. Mortar and
Pestle and mortar.
Yeah, more.
And then mortar and pestle. That's what
Yeah.
I would have thought too. But it is, in fact, the quernstone or hand mill.
So
Whatever.
I've
grindstone.
never heard of quernstone. Although, I mean, that might be like kind of what you were saying, Nick, but I don't know.
I mean, you Google it or ask Chat GPT, and
You're winning anyway.
I was gonna say, just give it to him. Who gives a shit?
All right, last question.
You want to win by 30 or 20? I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah. What unusual location / technique has been used across the centuries by Icelanders in order to cook their bread? You know, I kind of like how in England they say stroke instead of slash. What unusual location / technique
Is
has
that what
been
that
used?
is that what that means? Stroke?
Yeah.
I thought they were just really excited about the next word. You know, you learn something every day.
By Icelanders in order to cook their bread.
This whiskey sucks. Ugh.
is it old? What is it, Old Crow?
God, no, it's something my buddy gave me that he didn't want, and now I know why.
Bird
It's
dog.
from upstate New York or something, and it's fucking terrible. They don't know how to make whiskey up there.
No.
Ugh, it tastes salty. It's really weird.
All right, Steven.
I said porta potty and sunlight.
Gross.
That's fucking disgusting. I love it though. All right, what the hell did I say? Geothermal vents, geovents, whatever.
Okay. Nick.
Bury and piss on it.
And then Grumpy says, put bread in the engine compartment,
Alden's
it
probably
is-
the most correct.
buried underground in geothermal pockets.
But
So,
you
yeah.
don't need to pee on it. It's just geovent.
Yeah.
I
mean,
was just doing it the same way they prepare Greenland shark.
In Japan, they would bury metal works like forged metal and pee on it, and the ammonia would patina it in that, like, I think it's like the jade green kind of color metal or whatever would be the ammonia patina. So There is a bury and pee on it method, but it's not something you want to eat that's bread. So.
Well, they do it for.
Yay.
They bury it and you like piss on it to get the toxins out of the skin to eat it, and apparently it tastes like Windex.
To eat what? Yeah, of course it'll taste like
Windex. Shark.
Yeah. No, I don't want
Gross.
to.
Yeah. I forget what the word is they use for it, but that's like burying and pissing on it is like the technique. So I figured.
No, thank you.
That's how the Romans made concrete. That's apparently so effective still today.
Really?
Burying it and pissing on it?
Yep. It
also has chunks of limestone in it so that when water permeated
Those are
it,
kidney
the
stones.
limestone would melt and fill the cracks.
Yes. Which Germany is just now like catching on to that.
Learning now.
And parts of the Autobahn are being paved with it.
Speaking of
they didn't know for the longest time what was the
And-
Roman concrete.
Potentially ocean water too might have helped. But yeah. And then let's see. Oh yeah, dyers in like the olden days, they would use urine to dye clothes. So everybody, I guess, was just going around smelling like piss. But you know, their shirt was nice and dyed. So
yeah, there you go. Well, and that's how they knew if you were diabetic, because you smelled sweet.
ugh. So it's like the modern day doctor. It's like, well, I'm going to dye this for you, but you also need to check your sugars. Like,
Right. Oh, man.
all right. Let's see what story we have next while Alden is doing God knows what. So, strange radio pulses detected coming from ice in Antarctica. This is from Penn State, psu.edu. And they say several years ago, a cosmic particle detector in Antarctica observed a series of unusual radio signals, according to an international research group that includes scientists from Penn State. The strange radio pulses were detected between 2016 and 2018 by NASA. So apparently they fly balloons above Antarctica that point down and detect
Above
radio waves that are
Antarctica.
coming. Yeah. So I guess they're looking for neutrinos or something, which apparently are everywhere, but I guess they're hard to detect. I don't know. I don't freaking understand most
They're
of
like
that.
everywhere, and they go through atoms because they're much smaller than atoms. But because they're so small, they pass through every detector because it just goes through. So it's like a shot in the dark to actually get one.
Is this
If I
something
understand
they
my
know
quantum.
exists? Or is it like dark
Yes,
matter where they're like, yeah,
they've
it probably
detected it.
exists? Okay.
Yeah, they've detected it before, I believe. Like it's, or like in the equations, it has to exist. Like that's how they came up with like the God particle was that, or the graviton and stuff like that is like in the equations they like have this blank that has to meet these things, and then they eventually like figure out a way to find it. I don't know. I'm not great on quantum, but
So they said they detected these at really steep angles. So 30 degrees from below the ice. And I'll go to you, Steven, right after. But it says that the anomalous signal had to pass through and interact with thousands of kilometers of rock before reaching the detector, which should have left the radio signal undetectable because it would have been absorbed into the rock.
So this time frame that you're talking about, the 2016 to 2018 time frame, is at the same time, and we've talked about this before, that John Kerry went to Antarctica and the Pope was in the same convoy. There were like a lot of world leaders that were going down to Antarctica for something. And it's really weird because it's yes, you know, world leaders do periodically tend to go down there just to go and see the world, I guess. But for a convoy of world leaders to go together was special, from what I understand. And because I was real big into Alex Jones at the time, so I remember John Kerry was on Twitter sharing videos saying that they were almost there, and then he's showing pictures of people on the boat, and everybody's walking around in shorts and t-shirts. And it's like, hey, I thought it was cold down there. What are you doing? Why is everybody like not cold right now? It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So, and then just an hour later, all of a sudden everybody's in these big, puffy jackets and fully covered up. And it's It's pretty weird.
They were just getting through with their freak off. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Grumpy says they're going to a Diddy party.
Being that we know that you're a proponent of this flat Earth, Steven, and so exist. It's just a giant ice wall.
That's right.
I heard the theory that while Perry Reese was down there, that Tesla was going to try to light up the ionosphere with his Tesla death ray as a show for them. And he accidentally fired it like way too strong and blew up Tunguska in Russia.
Hey, there you go.
I'd go with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the timelines don't match at all. You're off by a few hundred years.
That's not my theory. I'm just repeating it. But
yeah.
I thought, I mean, they were at the same time. I'm pretty sure I got all the names right, although I am known to like.
But when was Tunguska? When was Tunguska versus?
I mean, the Tunguska event. Nikola Tesla was definitely alive during Tunguska, but I don't think Perry Reese was alive.
1908, and then Perry Reese. Man,
Yeah,
I can't spell.
It was 400 years before that.
Yeah, okay. Maybe it wasn't Perry Reese. Is there an Admiral Perry?
The Perry Reese
Admiral Reese
map. Is that what you're talking about?
Admiral Perry was the North Pole.
Perry Reese map is about.
I could be wrong on that.
No, Admiral Perry wouldn't have been alive either. Admiral Reese. I definitely just got that name messed up then. But there was some admiral down there, not Bird.
Bird is, yeah. Are you talking about Antarctica? I just came into this. I'm sorry, but Perry Reese.
Yeah, I was saying I got a name wrong for sure, but apparently there was some admiral down exploring Antarctica.
Mm-hmm.
And the theory goes that Tesla was like, well, look up in the sky tonight. I'm going to show you like a crazy show.
And that's when
he was going to try to hit.
Exploded.
His what exploded? Didn't
he just have a SpaceX rocket explode on the launch pad or something? Or?
Oh, yeah, it did today, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess he was going to try to light up the ionosphere and create auroras or whatever. And they say that maybe he accidentally went way too hard and blew up Tunguska, Russia, and did the Tunguska event.
Oh,
and
if he was,
I don't know.
If he was lighting up the atmosphere with that, wouldn't that light up the northern hemisphere and not the southern hemisphere? Since like Tesla's giant thing was between New Jersey and Colorado.
So I
I
have mentioned that the Tunguska event does seem to be part of Nikola Tesla's research. So that's where you get into the fourth and fifth generation warfare. So nuclear weapons, why aren't we really scared of them anymore? Because we have something much greater. We have the planar and scalar wave weapons. And that's one of those where it just sets the atmosphere on fire. So it's a much greater explosion. There's no nuclear fallout. There's no real blast point. It just erupts. It's pretty neat stuff to look at.
But yeah, better than the space lasers.
I mean, kind of. It kind of coincides with them.
Robert Peary. Yeah, that was the admiral.
So you had Perry.
At Peary, I was close.
Yeah, same difference.
Let me make sure he's actually an admiral, and I'm not making that up too. No, he wasn't. Not an admiral.
He's a private.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what he was. Oh no, he was in the Navy. Cool. Anyway, more or less, there we go. I mean, any good conspiracy theory has to just be told by some random guy who kind of remembers it, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think about the? I know you were away for this, but basically, they were flying balloons over Antarctica, and they found radio waves that seemed to be coming from under the ice, and not just under the ice, but like kilometers beneath the rock. And they're like, it's anomalous because like there shouldn't have been anything. Number one, and number two, they should have been absorbed by the rock.
Oh, I mean, there's that guy that talks about the whatever that base is that's down there that's supposed to just be receiving and not transmitting, but like receiving.
The Nazi thing?
I don't know about the Nazi thing. This is more recent than that. Like where they're supposed to just be specks of like the particles coming in, like photons and things like coming in through the atmosphere and everything, but that it apparently can also transmit things and So I don't know. Again, I wasn't here for that a little bit, but I'm not exactly sure about this one. But Antarctica's got some weird stuff, and there's people that have talked about that there's more going on there than meets the eye.
Here's the coordinates that Steven sent us to. So just to show, there's Antarctica. We're zooming in on it. We get to this nice big. It's a reveal, Nick. Come on.
Okay. So I see a white screen. I want to
satellite.
See
present wrapping paper.
Okay, so it's a mountains, maybe a pyramid there, just to the bottom of it.
Looks kind of like a monkey face.
That's right.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's Harambe.
Yeah, it is kind of a face, isn't it?
It's a monkey face.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But anyway.
Which, of course, every time you see a face in a thing, someone's like, we're programmed to see faces and things. And it's like, all right.
Yeah. But that's their answer for everything. It gets really old. Like, I agree. We definitely see patterns, but they're like, that very obvious pyramid in front of you is just you making patterns out of nothing. I'm like, no, that's a freaking pyramid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Antarctica's weird.
Antarctica is weird. And it's
I wish we could just like fly into its nose. Oh, we kind of can.
What was the secret Nazi base they all fled to in Antarctica called?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Why am I blanking on the name?
Most of it is not owned by any nation, and yet everyone agrees you're not allowed to go there. What? Why? What is the problem with that? And so many people have been intercepted.
New Schwabenland.
Go there.
That's it. New Schwabenland.
Yeah.
I got New Schwabenland.
Yeah. And I guess the hardcore conspiracy is that they scoured the land and found all sorts of hidden technology, including like sort of etheric spacecraft that were used by the old like Hindus. That these
like the mana or whatever
the mana. There's another name for it. I can't remember.
I thought it was Vimana or something, but it's.
But anyway, the Vril.
That's the what the Nazis used to talk about, like with like the weird energy, the Vril people.
So and then Hitler
thing,
may have escaped on a Vril craft to New Schwabenland, where obviously he joined the tall Nordics in the inner Earth,
and crossbred with penguins, and
he could still be alive, honestly, just like biding his time until he's going to real craft back out and take over.
I mean, it's funny how it's actually becoming more popular, like knowledge and belief recently, but even just the push to South America becoming more like commonplace knowledge that like a lot of Nazis ended up fleeing there. What's more conspiratorial is, because that's pretty well known at this point, but what's more conspiratorial is who among them, and like the officers, and like was Hitler's death faked, and like the whole skeletal remains being female that they found, yada yada, and were different officers that were hung in the Nuremberg trials lookalikes and not actually there. And there's an account of someone standing up and yelling at the trials that a person that was there was not who they said they were, and they ushered him out of the trials. And like there's weird stuff with that. It gets bizarre, honestly.
Yeah.
Yes, Grumpy. I asked Steven about that. Steven, as our resident surveyor who knows the Earth is flat.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah,
I'm going to get you in trouble with your license by saying this.
No, I already have it. We're good.
Say what you will. Yeah. Cheers, by the way, man. Congrats.
Thank you. But yeah, no. If I were actually like in a class right now, I would not be good. No, I mean the math doesn't work for Earth to be flat.
I know.
I can tell you if you measure in a straight line, and then you try to go back in a straight line, and you do not account for curvature, you will not match your original measurement.
Yeah.
So when the Earth casts a shadow onto the moon, it's curved. So, I mean, that seems like a pretty easy one that you can observe with your own eyes.
Right.
Well, the edge of the Earth could be curved if it were flat, like a pizza,
Or like a contact lens.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Something firmament. Something.
firmament. The firmament, something.
That's right. So, I mean, the strange radio signals. So, and here's another thing that we haven't even touched on yet. So, this is something I've heard just listening to Coast AM for the last 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Supposedly, there are, is it the Nephilim or is it just, aliens? I don't know. But there's another sect of people that believe that there are stasis creatures. There are creatures that they're in these kind of coffins, this sarcophagus, like a tomb, like the mummies were.
Mm-hmm.
But these things are keeping them in a state of stasis. So like they're not aging,
like suspended animation kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. But they're not dead, but they're not alive.
I've not heard of this particular.
They're kind of asleep, sort of.
Oh, back when like Antarctica didn't have ice.
Yeah, exactly.
Good night,
yeah, good night. And this coincides with the big pyramid that was found. Because Buzz Aldrin retweeted that. And that pyramid was found. And Buzz Aldrin retweeted it, and he's like, "This is pure evil. We're doomed." And everyone's like, "Wait a second, what?"
Yeah, Buzz Aldrin said some wild stuff,
man. Yeah, exactly.
Buzz Aldrin has also said stuff about seeing stuff when he was up in space. So.
Yes.
Or seeing stuff or not remembering stuff, and people are like, how did you remember? How vivid were the stars? And he's like, I don't know, I don't remember. And you're like, how do you not remember the stars? Like, because all the photos on the moon, like the stars are not present. It's just black sky, and they're like, and then they've said something. They made up something about like they're like, oh, the lens on the camera can't focus on the light of the moon surface and the stars at the same time, and whatever. And so someone asked him, and he's like, I don't remember. And you're like, you don't remember? Like, I don't know. It's just, I find it weird. Some of the shit he says is just insane.
Oh, yeah.
See what he says here.
Habitation on the moon. We can visit other people with their habitation. We can keep track. If there's something very important to be developed from the moon, I'm not sure what it is right now. And I sure think we should identify what it is for America to make such gross expenditures again for human habitation on the moon. We can help. We can join with. Together, we can explore the moon and develop the moon. We should go boldly where man has not gone before. Fly by the comets, visit asteroids, visit the moon of Mars. There's a monolith there, a very unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once in 7 hours. When people find out about that, they're going to say, who put that there? Who put that there? Well, the universe put it there. If you choose, God put it there. Maybe.
Interesting.
Dude's all over the place.
Yeah.
Buzz Aldrin was on Alex Jones in like 1998 talking about like, wait. He's like, just wait. The Indians are about to send a satellite up and they're going to discover liquid water on Mars. We've known about it for 20 years, but we're going to let them act like they found it first. And then 2 years later, all of a sudden, the Indian, space ministry, hey, there's liquid water on Mars, and we're like, really? That's just
weird enough.
Buzz Aldrin has said some wild stuff, and it's hard to know what's what there. But like, didn't he fight a guy for questioning the moon landing?
Yes,
and punched him
in the face.
Yeah,
the guy is kind of obnoxious.
He's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it was something like, do you really think the moon landing was real? And he punched in the face. Like, was that real?
Good argument.
This was like a couple years ago, like less than 10 years ago, wasn't it? Or maybe about 10 years ago. Like he was not it was not like 1960s Buzz Aldrin.
Not at all. Not at all. So, what is the weird radio signal? It could be any number of things. But obviously this is all, thank God Zane's not here because he would die on air.
I feel like that's why this has gone this
long. We're speculating so far and going so off the beaten path with this.
Yeah.
So Zane would just be judging us like crazy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
he's listening. We love you, Zane. And we're glad you're not here to suffer through this one.
So, and that's, some people would say that was the mark of the beginning of the end, is this radio signal being detected 2016, 2018. That's why all these world leaders were going down to Antarctica. That was the same time they discovered this giant pyramid that was just uncovered. They go down there. Buzz Aldrin retweeted. He said, hey, this is pure evil. we're doomed. Like it was all these events are strung along at the same time. A lot of these actually happened. Some of this is just speculation, but it's really weird that's the same timeline that all these world leaders were going down there. And that, I mean, we're talking about 7, 8, 9 years later.
When John Kerry lost the presidential election, he went down to Antarctica in this weird event, like on the day of like hearing the news that he lost kind of thing. And he said it was about some like climate change bullshit or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's weird, but it's almost like, you know, some speculate that it's like some like rite of passage or sacrifice thing or some like, you know, like offering thing or like just whatever, making some ritual about going to Antarctica. I don't fucking know what it's about or whatever. But it was really bizarre. If you look truly more into it, John Kerry's fucking Antarctica trip, on the top, who goes down to Antarctica on a fucking environmental, you know, whatever.
To be fair, this is the guy that flies this private jet around and then lectures you about your car.
Yeah, no, of course, but exactly. And on the peak hour of like him seeing if he like win or loses kind of thing, and he like goes on a boat down to Antarctica. It's very strange. Like honestly, there's more examples like that. There's like weird activity with like politicians and like strange people like going down to Antarctica for like some reason. And they'll always say it's about like, I want to save the penguins or it's about climate change or whatever, but it's just weird.
Yeah. Well, let me actually bring up, this reminds me of what you said about, you know, we're going to let the Indians find the water on Mars or whatever. This is like a FOIA on CIA.gov where they're talking about an evaluation remote viewing program.
Mm-hmm.
And down here, like a billion words into it, they're talking about how some guy remote viewed a planet beyond Uranus. And I guess this was before it had been discovered. And then it says that we found out that he was talking about Saturn, which was discovered much later than the guy remote viewed it. And it was exactly where he said it would be.
What year was this? When was this?
I'll have to go back up and check. But
Saturn isn't further than Uranus.
Right.
Well, wait, was it Saturn then, or am I messing that up again?
Neptune would be beyond Uranus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really help if this text wasn't tiny. I cannot read it.
And so jumbled.
You know, 63 Earths can fit inside Uranus. Or so I'm told.
Whatever. I shouldn't have brought that up with not being able to read this. I did read it, and then I thought I had said it right.
I just can't help but read all the just highlighted Uranuses on this page.
Yeah.
Like Saturn, I think, was very well known as like Jupiter and Saturn are very, very clear.
They're easier to spot in the sky, so they've been known a while. Yeah.
I mean, you can see Saturn with binoculars.
New planet Neptune.
Neptune. Sorry. There we go.
Yeah.
But it says basically he postulated a new planet, and then they found one close to where he said it would be.
Mm-hmm.
So this reminded me of it. More on spooky, weird stuff. So
I mean, the math mathed. That's all you can really say on that.
So this was released in 1995, but I don't exactly know when all this junk happened. I can't read.
Yeah, I feel like Neptune's been known longer than.
That's what I figured. But yeah.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
What was it? The 60s or 70s was when they were really doing a lot of this remote viewing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, the remote viewing programs were.
Neptune was discovered in 1846.
I was going to say like the early 1900s or even earlier. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. When did this guy who. Okay. So this guy is the one who calculated it. He was born in 1811.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder when the guy who remote viewed it lived.
It would have to be in the 1900s where FOIA and these kind of documents existed.
The term remote
so this
view
doesn't make sense to me.
Modern. Like remote view is like a CIA term for this.
It's like a 70s thing.
Yeah,
60s, 70s MK Ultra thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, the term has really been around since like the 50s. I mean, because that was it was kind of mentioned in Behold a Pale Horse.
Mm-hmm. Bill Cooper's birthday.
That's right. Yeah, because Eisenhower was unveiling, hey, a weapon more effective, more destructive than the nuclear bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And it was effectively social engineering, but this was part of it as well.
Yeah, that whole story in general, just the Bill Cooper's whole story is interesting with predicting 9/11 and then like getting shot on his own property and shit by the FBI.
Yeah,
we could do a whole show on just fucking Bill Cooper, dude. That guy's
it could be more than a show. If anyone listens to the Timeline Earth podcast and has their Patreon, they're breaking down his Mystery Babylon episode by episode, week by week. They're playing a whole episode and breaking it down on that.
That's cool.
And,
okay. Yeah.
Picked up a whole bunch of stuff that like basically the founding fathers were a whole bunch of like child murdering troons.
It's totally possible. I have no idea.
At
Honestly,
least Ben Franklin was.
Ben Franklin, didn't they find bones in his basement and weird shit?
Like, Ben Franklin was playa. I mean,
yeah.
And he was a member of like some women's Freemason lodge in Paris and like did the whole cross-dressing thing and like all sorts of other ridiculous stuff that like they just don't tell you.
Imagine being in a time when you don't know the difference between Taco Bell and cholera, and you come up with the fire department, the library, and bifocals, like at that, like you are Diddy at that point, and there is no government to catch you.
Well, and then the whole episode in there was devoted to like the Freemason founding and. Well, even the fact that like Dr. Frankenstein from Mary Shelley's book is basically based. Well, the whole title on it with the new Frankenstein, the new Prometheus.
Yeah,
and what's his name? French philosopher guy referred to Ben Franklin as the new Prometheus. So, like, she was directly referencing Ben Franklin.
Is it de Tocqueville?
No. I'm thinking Voltaire, maybe.
Voltaire, that's who I was trying to think. I think.
Okay.
So she was like directly referencing that, and then even like the
to be or not to be
electrical experiment was some sort of Masonic thing. I don't know. I'm just repeating what they came up with.
So here's the weird question to ask is was President Washington really Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Bavarian Illuminati?
Haven't gone down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, dude, I heard that.
Hey, if you look it up, they look alike, bro. Like,
yeah, but you're talking Bavarian Illuminati at the same time. Washington's apparently here,
Yeah, apparently they were similar height. I mean, it was It was one of those that apparently at the time, and they even met each other on the battlefield, from what I understand.
Weishaupt?
Yeah.
When would that have been?
So let's see here. So Weishaupt was born in 1748.
He would have been a lot younger in like 1776, 1780-ish.
Yeah.
Than Washington.
But they're all wearing wigs and uniforms.
Was Weishaupt ever in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Because I thought he kind of that I don't know. I haven't dug that much on Weishaupt.
That's the theory, anyways. Was that so? We wanted to make Washington king. He said no. Weishaupt killed him, took his place, became president.
But he didn't become king, so that's still.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into the funnies, and I hate to interrupt good, conspiracy talk.
I was just speculating. I
don't know if I'd call it
getting things wildly wrong, like Neptune, whatever.
Yeah. Speaking of too drunk, this is the whiskey not to buy. The St. Lawrence fucking whiskey. This tastes like shit. So
don't buy whiskey from New York.
Yeah, honestly, they don't know what they're doing.
All right, so this one was kind of funny, but also kind of interesting.
I'm bringing it back. I'm wearing a fish hat. It's tipped to the side, and I kept contact.
The orcas are throwing fish on their heads and carrying them around. And that's an unusual behavior for sure. I don't think we have any idea why this is happening exactly, but it is some kind of communication.
So that's basically it. There's one picture of this orca wearing a dead salmon on his head.
Does he even know it's there?
My understanding is orcas were doing this like back in the 70s, and they just started bringing it back.
Yes.
Yeah. I like how they also say experts say it's a good sign, but we literally just heard this guy say we have no idea why they're doing it.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. So is it a dance? Is it a celebration? Is it some kind of mating ritual? Is it something to attract larger prey? It's all speculation, but apparently
we should attribute betting on sports teams to. We don't know, but
that's right. Yeah. So apparently it's been 30 plus years. Well, guaranteed bets on sports teams are going to be based on what happened the last time orcas were wearing salmon as hats.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's going to be some weird historical precedent where it's like the last time the Mariners were like doing good was like when the orcas were wearing salmon hats. Like I don't know.
Yeah, the first blood moon after the salmon hat orca was spotted.
Yeah.
The Yankees won the Super Bowl.
There you go. The Yankees won the Super Bowl. That'd be an interesting one.
Yeah.
All right. And here's a classic whitest kids that is unfortunately very relevant again.
Next question. Just a thought, more of a shot in the dark, but we wouldn't happen to be invading Iran today, would we?
Oh, I know this guy.
You got me.
I fell for it. You almost got away with that one.
No, I went too far. I almost had it.
This is Trevor Moore. This guy was calling out all kinds of crazy stuff at the time, and then he ended up found dead on the floor, like under his balcony, like he fell off his balcony kind of thing. Like I don't know.
That sucks.
There's a weird suspicion about his death, and he was making, comedy about 9/11 and JFK and things like that or whatever. Anyway, just a weird bit of lore behind that, but
all right.
Suspicious death.
All right. Before we play this last one, any last plugs or anything to talk about shortly? Like we got to get out of here, but anyone got anything real quick before we go to this last one?
I haven't started hair plugs yet, but
the PSC race on the ballot, is something you can vote for now. Was it PSC 7, which is in my area? I saw a news article right before the show started that Coweta County turnout was under 2%. These are literally the people that dictate what you pay for your power bill. So it's not the data centers; it's these people. These people will help the data centers raise your power bill. If you don't like the data centers, if you like the internet, which we're using currently to broadcast the show and do the research for it, I happen to like the internet. But
I'm a fan.
If you don't want a data center in your backyard, your PSC commissioner is the guy you need on your side. You would want a libertarian in that kind of scenario.
I have a farm in my backyard, so
yeah, there you go. Exactly. Right. So pay attention to that if you're in Georgia. Also, if you're in Georgia, ballot petition. The Libertarian Party needs a huge petitioning effort to essentially survive.
Yeah.
About 1,500 signatures a week.
There you go. Which we're not there yet.
A week.
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Amen to that. The ideology is not going to die, but again, it might have something to do with the radio frequency in Antarctica coinciding with the salmon hats.
The salmon hats.
Yeah. It could just be in the tea leaves.
I only vote when the salmon hats are worn.
Hey, there you go. If that's the sign you need, here it is.
Yeah.
Right. Other than that, I would just say that, the Iranian people, by and large, do not want to die. The asshole that's in charge is an asshole, and by and large, they agree with us that he is an asshole.
The people of nations deserve to live and don't drink New York State whiskey. The end. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. You got anything, Nick?
No. I mean, it's been it's been a week between the car thing, but also I've got I know we've talked about it on the show, but I got drawn for Savannah Banana tickets. Well, drawn for a slot to buy Savannah Banana tickets when they come to Pittsburgh. So I have like an 11 a.m. Yeah, I have like an 11 a.m. purchase time on Monday. So I'm hoping I get tickets.
Nice. I hope you do too.
So that'd be pretty sweet. Because
luck.
Buddy loves it.
Well,
Buddy's still watching. And Jake hates it, even though he doesn't know
he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
He's
he
a
hasn't
Wrexham
been
Texan.
there.
Yeah.
He hasn't been there, has he, Zach? You've been there.
No. Wrexham and Texan rhymes, so we have to give him
Wrexham and Texum rhyme.
Texum with an M.
Wrexham and Texum. That's what I've been saying for months. Since he started the show, I've been calling it the Wrexham Texum.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we've made this the Dora the Explorer, and you're like, almost.
Anyway, let's get into this last funny one, and then we'll get out of here. There is a new episode of Banished Big Brother if anyone wants to go check that out.
I need to catch up on Big Brother, man.
Go check that out.
It's been more sparse lately, but there is a new one. All right. So last one. Here is a joke from Ricky Gervais.
People take everything personally. I think the world revolves around them, right? Particularly on Twitter, right? I don't know. I'm not tweeting anyone. I'm just tweeting, okay? I don't know who's following me. I've got 12 million followers. I don't know who's following me. They can be following me without me knowing, right? Choose to read my tweet and then take that personally. That's like going into a town square, seeing a big notice board, and there's a notice, guitar lessons, and you go, but I don't fucking want guitar lessons.
Yeah. Good analogy.
All right. There's a number here. All right, all that, right? Are you giving me guitar lessons? Yeah. I don't fucking want any. Fine. It's not for you then. Just walk away. Don't worry about it.
I love it. It's a good analogy. I like it.
Yeah.
Fucking move on.
Yeah.
Follow the people that you're interested in and fucking, I don't know, move on. Don't be a troll.
Smash like.
Yeah.
Smash like.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the end for us. I think Jake will be back next week. Thank you guys for watching, for listening. Yeah, he'll be in Montana with hopefully better Starlink.
We hope, yeah.
Anyway, goodbye.